I have a great announce and a gift. For the last year, I've been working on different projects, but one thing that has been constant is my wish to create a massive multiplayer or at least a multiplayer game. I've been researching from different sources and I wish now to have the opportunity to share what I've learned with you. And beyond that, I wish to create a multiplayer video game that you will be able to play, but also where you are going to have access to the code that I created, that I implemented for that video game. The way to get this code will be by subscribing to Woolen.com. But beyond that, I want to give you this small gift of creating a very simple design for a multiplayer game where the characters will pick some fruits and collect some points. I hope you enjoy this process. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and make your comments on my channel. Also remember that by subscribing to Woolen.com, you will have access to discount of all the courses that I created. To create this multiplayer project, I am going to select the top-down. By default, we can use this. I'm not going to use the C++, not ray tracing at this moment, and let's call this project TD MP. TD is top-down multiplayer, and let's create this. Now that the project is ready, I am going to add a couple of elements from Quixel Bridge. So let's go to Add, Quixel Content. You have to log in. And now my goal here is to find a couple of elements that I can use as collectors or something that I'm going to collect that will attributes me some points. So I can use some fruits. I'm going to take the grapes. I love the idea of the grapes. So I'm going to download this one. I am going to take something exotic as well. Why not? I'm going to take a nut. And I'm going to take a mango. Download the mango and add it. I have my 3 elements here. I can close the Quixel Bridge now. In the next part is I wish to make these models a bit bigger. So what I can do is get here in this scene. I am going to find in the top down that I have blueprints and I have my particular characters. So I'm going to put the character here just to have a perception of the scale. Don't worry, we're going to remove this character in a second. I'm going to take my mango. Let me put my mango here. And now I want to scale it up. Maybe too much. Let's go to 5. Oh yeah, that's a good point. And now I want to set this value to, I want to reset the scale. For that, I'm going to the modeling tool, select the mango, open the modeling tool. Let me pin it here, Xform, and bake transform. In this case, I'm going to select this one. Just, I want to bake the rotation and bake the full scale, accept. And now you can see that the scale is 1, 1, 1. Now I'm going to replicate the same thing for the grapes. Let me put the grapes here. Let me scale it to the same size and see how big they are. Not big enough. So probably, let me get them to 8. Yeah, much better. And I'm going 12. And we're going to proceed the same way. So Xform, selecting the object, bake transform, accept. And then with the walnut. And let's say this is the walnut. Let me try right away with 10. I think it's a very good size. Let me put it here. Looking good. Xform, after selecting the nut, Xform, bake transform, and accept. Now we have the transformation for all these fruits. And I don't need them anymore. So let me select them all using Control, Delete, and also the character and delete. For a top-down game using Unreal 5.3, which is the current version, the game works like where you click and you keep the mouse there, the character is going to move in that direction. For this scenario for multiplayer, I'm going to select these hamburger buttons. And in the net mode, I'm going to select play as a listen server, which will be a server that will listen everything that is happening in the rest of the other computers, other remote computers. In this case, I'm going to emulate things, and here I'm going to play it as a listen. The other thing I'm going to select is how many players I want to emulate here. Let's say that I want to emulate 3 of them. Now, if I play the game, you will see 3 different presentations, which are for the 3 different scenarios of the game, if we call it that way. So this is play on the light of the server that is listening, and these are the other 2. And as you can see, they are working and replicating live pretty good. While you're playing the game, like in this window, you notice that in the outliner, you have 3 BP top-down characters. These are all the characters that corresponding to this class that we have here. And in this moment, we have 3 characters in this scene, but you have only one controller. This controller is related to the character that you have under control at this moment. Now, if you're asking yourself how this information during the gameplay is replicating through the all different 3 screens. Well, if you go here in top-down blueprints and open the character blueprint, and you find the information related to this character called replication, you will have a particular setting which is replicates and is right now in check. That means that everything that is going to happen to this character will be replicated on the rest of them. And also, you have information about the replicate movement. So this is the kind of information that you're going to provide, you're going to replicate to the rest of the computers connected for this experience, and they're going to receive that information, and they're going to present the information in every station. Now I'm back to the top-down map, and as you can see here, we have a player start, and I want to add a couple more for every one of the players. So let's say I'm going to add one that will be here, and a player start that will be here. Now, what happens if I start the game at this moment? Well, the players will start randomly in any of the positions. Every time that you start the game, you can't see exactly, you can't predict where the players are going to be, where every one of the players is going to be. Now we're going to make the players start from different positions. So how we're going to do this? Let's go to Content Browser. And in the Content Browser, at this moment, if you go to the World Settings, you see that the game mode that we are using is this game mode that is here. I'm going to open this game mode blueprint class. Now let's click Open Full Blueprint Editor. On the left in this section, you can add an override function. In this case, you have a list of several of them. I'm going to select Choose Player Start, which is here. And now we have this function, and this function is added to the screen as we see here. Now we're going to add some easy changes, simple changes here. First of all, I'm going to remove this arrow with Alt and click. And from this, first I want to check what are all the actors that are player start, as it was in the beginning. We want to check what are all these player starts. So let's go from here, and I select Get All Actors of Class. And the class I will select is the class Player Start, which is this one. So I am selecting all the actors of this type. Fantastic. And now I want to loop through all of them. So from here, I'm going to select for each loop. So I will loop through the 3 that I have at this moment. And the actors that are here, the actors of all these classes, are the ones that are going to be looping. The next part is I'm going to connect this array element, the particular element, and I'm going to compare it with the player start tag, which is this one, the get. From this, for every element of the loop, I am going to check the element of the player tag, and that one is going to be compared. I'm going to put this one. Let's put an equal. In fact, it's going to be the not equal. And I'm going to compare it with a tag that I'm going to add, which let's call it, in this case, the tag is use. So I am going to check if the particular start tag was already used. If it was not already used, and for that, I am going to use a branch. From this point, let me use a branch. If the result of this is that it is not used, so we set the condition here, and the result is true, then I'm going to set the player start tag. In this case, is going to be a set. The player is going to be now, the tag, sorry, is going to be now used. That's great. From that, we are going to finish here. But we also have to define, in this case, okay, what is the target? Because it has to be this same target. So we'll connect this one as well here. Let me create another one like this one, easier. So this is the target that we're going to set. I mean, this is the player start target that we're going to set, and we are going to add the tag used. And in the return value, we should use this same one. And this is going to be the return value. So we choose the player, we check all the classes of the type player start, we loop through them, and we check if the start they have already a tag called use. If they are not used, then I add the tag and then I return the value of that particular element of that particular player start. Now, if it is used, then everything finished. I'm not going to use more than that. Fantastic. Going to compile and save. Now, let's play the game. And you see that all characters are placed in different positions. I can restart the game. And you can see again that the characters are placed in different positions, these different starting points. Good. Now, the next part is I wish to create a PickUp blueprint using the fruits that we select a moment ago. So what are we going to do? Well, the first thing is let's go to the blueprints of our project. And I am going to select blueprint interface. And let's call this blueprint interface, I like to call it BPI, so I know that it's going to be an interface. And I'm going to call it points adder. So this is going to add points. This is a blueprint that we are creating to add points. Now I'm going to open this blueprint and I'm going to add an input parameter here in this section. And this parameter, I'm going to call it value, and will correspond to the value that this, when you pick up this item, you're going to obtain. And of course, the type is going to be an integer. It's going to compile, save. Now we're going back to the folder. Oh, sorry, to the folder. Let me move it here. And I am going to add a blueprint class that inherits from a static mesh actor. I don't have it here, so let me find it here. Static mesh actor. Here it is. Going to select. Let's call it BP. It's a blueprint base pickup. This is going to be the reference for all the pickups that we are going to create. Let's open now this blueprint. Now in the static mesh, I am going to select any mesh of my preference. I'm going to use, let's use a cylinder. For the physics section, I need to be sure that we are simulating physics. And I'm going to confirm that the enable gravity as it is right now, it is working. The next part is to add a collision. So I'm going to add and set collision. And let me take the sphere collision. And this sphere is going to trigger, of course, the collision and the points. So I'm going to call it trigger. And now let's scale this up. And now we have to confirm that these generate overlap events, which is this one. The overlap events is the events that will be called when some other mesh, or in our case is going to be the player, is going to be on this section. So the event will be called. Now we're going to add some code for this object. So let's go to the event graph. First, we're going to add a variable that we're going to call it points. And as you can imagine, it's going to be an integer, sorry. And I'm going to make this instance editable, which is clicking here. At this moment, it's not editable. And as you can read here, this variable is public and is editable on each instance of this blueprint. Now I'm going to compile. Points by default is going to have the value of 1. If you don't add any points for a new object that is going to be this kind of collectibles, by default it's going to have the value of 1. We can change that later on. I'm going back to the event graph and I'm going to remove a couple of things. First, the event begin play, I don't need it, and the event tick, I don't need it. What I want is the begin overlap. Now, what I need is to check what is the other actor that I am that is overlapping with this object. So what I'm going to do is move here and say cast to character, because at this moment that's exactly the other object that we wish to identify. So let's say that the other actor is going to be a character. So we're casting in that direction. From this, I want to call the function that I previously created, which is related to adding points. Now, let me go to the other, and you see that the function is called new function. It's not going to be a very good name for this one. So I'm going to call it add points. Compile, save. And now I can call that one here. So add points. And of course, what we're going to put as part of the information that we're going to introduce here is, well, first, the character. This is the target. We're going to add that information to the character. Don't worry, we're going to define what we're going to do then. And of course, we are going to assign the amount of points that we define in this variable. So let's go here, drag, get the points, and the value that I'm going to assign are the values corresponding to that particular collectible. And then once I do this, I want this collectible to be destroyed. From here, I'm going to say destroy actor. Compile, save. The last important part here is if this is my character, I get the information and this information is updated for me. But I want also to be replicated to the rest of the game, to the rest of the other players that are connected online. So I'm going to select the BP base pickup and let's find replicate. And then we're going to select replicates. And this attribute now for this particular character that is going to collect these points is going to be presented as well for the rest of the players. Now let's go back to the top-down map where we have the BP base pickup. And I'm going to right-click on this one and I'm going to select create child blueprint class. And I'm going to create 3 of them. And I'm going to call this a mango. I'm going to replicate other 2 more. This one will be grapes. And another one. And this will be walnut. Let's start with the first one, which is the grapes. So double click. I'm going to move it away from here so we could have this information and this one. And the reason is because I want to change the static mesh. So the static mesh for this is the grapes we set. So let's go for the grapes. This is the static mesh. I can click it here. And now here I just click on this arrow and the mesh is assigned. Now, the other thing is remember that we assign default points for this one. Let's say that by default, this is 5. I'm going to say that that by default is 1. Let's say that for this one is going to be 5. And then I'm going to compile and save this one. The next is to repeat the process with the other two. So let's go to the blueprints. Now we have this one. Let's go for the mango. Top down, mango. Select the static mesh and assign it here. And let's say that for the mango are 10 points. And now let's do the same thing for the last one, which is the walnut. Same procedure. Open here, walnut. Select the walnut. Add the static mesh. Here is the walnut. And compile, save, and close. Now I wish to show you some, I would say it's a kind of a glitch or a small error that we have here in Unreal, which is, let's say that we add this, the base pickup, and let's say now that I add the grapes just beside this. Put in, let me confirm that are beside it, and of course the one, my first character is going to appear here, so these two elements will be affected by gravity will drop. So if I do this, I will check that this drops, but what happens with the other one? Well, the other one, by some reasons, it is not detect the collision of the corresponding fruit of the corresponding mesh. So how do you solve this? Well, we can go to the corresponding meshes. In this case, I'm going to take the mango. So open the static mesh, and here you will see some properties. In fact, if you wish to see the bounds of this should be the bounds for this object, but for some reasons are not working. But as soon as you decide to apply this and then save, and now we go back and let's say that I am going to add my mango. Put my mango here, very close to the character, in fact. Let me move it up, start the game, and there is my mango. So I have to apply this to the rest of the meshes. Let's go to the grapes. Same thing. You can go to show, you can see the bounds. Fantastic. Apply, save, close, and the walnut. Open the mesh, apply. You can see them here as well. The bounds, there they are. Save, close, and now they are not going to fall through the floor, which is good. Let me present it to you. Let me test it. Oh yeah, because I collected. I just collected because they are very close to the player. So let me show you this. Let me show you because they are very, very close to the player. So let me move this one here and let me move this one to the other side. Excellent. There they are. And as soon as I pass over them, I collect them. Fantastic. Now let's display the points for the character that you have collected. And of course, we're going to present that information as well to the rest of the players. So let's go to Blueprints. And in Blueprints, I'm going to open my BP top-down character. And for the moment, I can close all these elements. Let me just work with my BP top-down. And now I'm going to add a variable that I'm going to call points. So variable. As you can imagine, this is going to be an integer. Now, selecting points in the detail panel, you have also the option of replication. From the top down, we're going to select replication notify. As soon as we do that, you can check that here in the functions, now we have a new function called onRepPoints. And this function will be called on the clients every time the variable is updated by this authoritative actor. Now let's select the viewport. Where is my character? And I'm going to add a text renderer. Text renderer. Here it is. And I'm going to move this just a little bit. And I want to rotate this to the back of the character. Let me play with the position as well. Say minus 80. Now I wish also to rotate it in this position. Now, having selected the top-down character, I will go to the class settings, and here on this side where it said implemented interfaces, I am going to select add. And remember that we created an interface for points added, which is this one. So I'm going to select this interface. As soon as we do this, a new interface with a new function is added here, which is called add points. Now for this add points, I'm going to select it, right click, and pick implement event. What we want to do this here is to add points to the current points that my character has at any specific moment. So what I will do is I'm going to take the current points that I have, get points, I need this information, and then I am going to add, and I'm going to take this and this, the points that you are getting plus the points that you already have, and then going to set them back to the same value of points. In this case, it's going to be points set, and this value will be added here. Basically, what we're doing is taking the points that I'm collecting, taking the points that I already have, and then make them the points that I already have the sum of these two, or the addition of these two. Compile, save. You can check also that we have these icons here and here, and also in the set we have the notify. What does that mean is that the points variable is replicated with this function notification, which means that the rest of the players connected will receive this update. Now that the variable points is updated, I need to present that for the character on this text renderer that we created. How we're going to do that? Well, we'll double click on onRepPoints, which will happen when a point is added, and then we're going to set text. In our case, it's going to be the set text renderer, and immediately we have the information about the text that we have at this moment, which is this text renderer, and the value that we are going to assign is, we're going to take the points. Let's go to get, and you can click from here to the value, and it will transform automatically. Unreal will transform automatically this information. Let's compile, save, and let's get back to our top-down map. I can remove this one, I don't need it. Let me add a couple more of mangoes. And let me put a walnut. I didn't add a walnut. Let me put a walnut here. And let me put another walnut on this point. And let's start. I'm gonna start with my player here. All right, and let me move it. As you can see, you already have 10. Let me select this one. Now they have 15. The number is very small, but it's presenting what I wanted. Let me check here, and let me confirm that if this character look at me, they can see how many points I have. And I can collect mine. Here I have one, just a sad one. And here you can see also the other character that, you know, the information, the data is replicating. This is exactly what we were looking for. Thanks for watching this video, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and make your comments. And remember to join to woodland.com so you can have access to discount of my courses and to more content I am preparing free for you. See you later. Cheers.